Welcome forward to Chapter 3, Retraining the Mind, page 23. The endless speculation about the meaning of the mind has led to considerable confusion because the mind is confused. Only one-mindedness is without confusion. A separated or divided mind must be confused. It is uncertain by definition. It has to be in conflict because it is out of accord with itself. Intrapersonal conflict arises from the same basis as interpersonal conflict. One part of the psyche perceives another part as on a different level and does not understand it. This makes the parts strangers to each other without recognition. This is the essence of the fear-prone condition, in which attack is always possible. Man has every reason to feel afraid as he perceives himself. This is why he cannot escape from fear until he knows that he did not and could not create himself. He can never make his misperceptions valid. His creation is beyond his own error, and that is why he must eventually choose to heal the separation. Right-mindedness is not to be confused with the knowing mind because it is applicable only to the right perception. You can be right-minded or wrong-minded, and even in this subject to degrees, a fact which clearly demonstrates a lack of association with knowledge. The term right-mindedness is properly used as the correction of wrong-mindedness and applies to the state of the mind which induces accurate perception. It is miraculous because it heals misperception, and this is indeed a miracle in view of how man perceives himself. Perception always involves some misuse of will because it involves the mind in areas of uncertainty. The mind is very active because it has willpower. When it willed the separation, it willed to perceive. Until then, it only willed to know. Afterwards, it willed ambiguously, and the way out of ambiguity is clear perception. The mind returns to its proper function only when it wills to know. This places it in the soul's service when perception is meaningless. The superconscious is the level of the mind which wills this. The mind chose to divide itself when it willed to create both its own levels and the ability to perceive, but it could not entirely separate itself from the soul because it is from the soul that it derives its whole power to create. Even in miscreation, will is affirming its source, or it would merely cease to be. This is impossible because it is part of the soul, which God created and which is therefore eternal. The ability to perceive made the body possible because you must perceive something, and with something. This is why perception involves an exchange or translation, which knowledge does not need. The interpretive function of perception, actually a distortion or a distorted form of creation, then permitted man to interpret the body as himself, which through depressing was an attempt to escape from the conflict he had induced. The superconscious, which knows, could not be reconciled with the loss of power because it is incapable of darkness. This is why it becomes almost inaccessible to the mind and entirely inaccessible to the body. Thereafter, the superconscious was perceived as a threat, because light does not abolish darkness merely by establishing the fact that it is not there. The truth will always overcome error in the sense. This is not an active process of destruction at all. We have already emphasized that knowledge does not do anything. It can be perceived as an attacker, but it cannot attack. What man perceives as its attack is merely his own vague recognition of the fact that there can always be remembered, never having been destroyed. God and the souls he created remain in surety, and therefore know that no miscreation exists. Truth cannot deal with unwilling error because it does not will it to be blocked out. I was a man who remembered the soul and its knowledge, and as a man, I did not attempt to counteract error with knowledge so much as to correct error from the bottom up. I demonstrated both the powerlessness of the body and the power of the mind. By uniting my will with that of my Creator, I naturally remembered the soul and its own real purpose. I cannot unite your will with God's for you, but I cannot erase all misperceptions from your mind if you will bring it under my guidance. Only your misperceptions can stand in your own way. Without them, your choice is certain. Same perceptions induces same choosing. The atonement was an act based on true perception. I cannot choose for you, but I can help you make your own right choice. Many are called, but few are chosen. Should read, all are called, but few choose to listen. Therefore, they do not choose right. The chosen ones are merely those who choose right sooner. This is the real meaning of the celestial speed up. Strong wills can do this now, and will find rest for your soul. God knows you only in peace, and this is your reality. The loss of certainty. We said before that the abilities which man possesses are only shadows of his real strengths, and that is the intrusion of the ability to perceive, which is inherently judgmental, was introduced only after the separation. No one has been sure of anything since. You will also remember, however, that I made it clear that resurrection was the means for the return to knowledge, which was accomplished by the union of my will with the Father's. We can now make a distinction which will greatly facilitate clarity in our own subsequent statements. Thus ends page 23, heading to 24.